Greetings, everyone. My name is Dr. Anita Stewart McCafferty from the Educational Leadership Department at the University of Southern Maine. I want to welcome you to this course and to Module 1, which focuses on assessment literacy and a balanced assessment system. Our guiding questions for this module are as follows. What is assessment literacy, and how does it relate to the 5 keys to quality classroom assessment? Our second guiding question is, to create a balanced assessment system, what are the key components and what are the connections to the 5 keys of quality and the 7 strategies of assessment for learning? During Module 1, we'll focus on 4 different objectives. The first is to be able to identify the 5 keys to classroom assessment quality, describe the competencies for each key to quality, and explain how they all contribute to being an assessment literate educator. The second module objective is to describe the similarities and differences between formative assessment, or assessment for learning, and summative assessment, assessment of learning. The third module objective is to describe how formative and summative assessment fit into a balanced assessment system. And the fourth module objective is to describe the 7 strategies of assessment for learning and how they connect to the research on teaching and learning. In this week's module, you will have the opportunity to really consider what it means to be an assessment literate educator and to self-assess and kind of think about your own competencies related to assessment literacy. The competencies that we're going to use based on Jan Chapuis and Rick Stiggins' latest work, in fact, their brand new book that just is coming out, has just come out in 2020. Those 5 keys to quality that we'll work with are clear purpose, clear learning targets, sound design, and the teacher's use of formative assessment and effective communication of assessment results. Now, if you're familiar with the work that Jan and Rick have done in the past, or that my colleague Jeff and I have done in the past, the 5 keys have been revised slightly. So the key that had student involvement is now being used by Jan and Rick to think about the formative traction or the formative use of that assessment data. So how can it be used to really further learning during the process as opposed to at the end of the process? So you'll kind of see a variation in those 5 keys as we move through the course, because we're kind of thinking about that key of student involvement and now the switch that's being made to more of an emphasis on the formative use of the assessment data. During this module, you will watch the Assessment Literacy Intro to EDU 605. That was located in the Getting Started section of the course. So if you've not watched that yet, please take 5 or 6 minutes to do so. Then, of course, this module 1 introduction video. And then we have a very special presentation by Dr. Rick Stiggins, who is known by many as the father of classroom assessment. And we worked with Rick up in Bangor and Brewer through PrEP, which is a university school collaborative, and he presented to a group of educators there a couple of years back. And so you'll have the opportunity to watch that video presentation on balanced assessment systems. Then your reading assignments for this week focus on reading chapters 1 and 2 in Chapuis and Stiggins' brand new book, Classroom Assessment for Student Learning. And then chapter 3 in the book that Jeff Beaudry and I co-authored, Teaching Strategies That Create Assessment Literate Learners. You will be asked to engage in a discussion around teacher assessment competencies. And in that, in order to prepare for that discussion, you will take a relatively lengthy survey where you'll examine your own competencies with classroom assessment and kind of think about your strengths and areas that you could improve upon. Then your assignment for this week is to really look at balanced assessment systems in your own school or your school district. And we encourage you to use the table, figure 2.2, which is elements of balanced assessment system, to be able to consider the purposes and think about how you could leverage a balanced assessment system in order to improve student learning and increase achievement. I hope that you will enjoy learning more about balanced assessment systems and the larger concept of assessment literacy and how it relates to becoming assessment literate educators and leaders. Enjoy.